know if y'all heard of this small indie title called The Last of Us, but it turns out part 3 of its story might have just leaked to the public. Find out what details fell through the cracks and more. Up next. What up guys, this is Kalo and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content, drop a like on the video, and follow me on Twitter. So before we get any further in today's video, I want to say two things to you guys. One, spoilers for anybody who is watching the show or is playing through the games now. And two, let's just take all these rumors with a huge grain of salt, as I always say. So within the past few months, a website aptly named The Leak looked into a potential part 3 to The Last of Us. And their sources claim despite the denial of this project actually happening by Naughty Dog, it is in fact moving forward. The article goes on to state Druckmann has also previously stated that the storyline was written. Now our source at Sony, who previously broke the first leak of the PS5 Slim, well, there's that bit of information for you guys, has doubled down and revealed to us that it is indeed in the works. At least according to Sony internally, it has the title slated as in progress with Naughty Dog, as the developers with the game have categorized it as a PS5 release along with the PS6 in mind. Alright, there was a lot to unpack there, but first, a PS5 Slim? And a PS6? Now, just a quick little note here, part 3 on the PS6 would absolutely change the game. Now, I think part 3 to The Last of Us is a no-brainer. This is without even factoring in the success of the show on HBO Max, which is seemingly growing in viewership numbers with the release of their weekly episodes. Episode 1 netted 4.7 million viewers, Episode 2 with 5.7 million, Episode 3 with 6.4 million, and Episode 4 with 7.5 million viewers, which is huge for HBO Max. And just a quick little note for TV in general, numbers like this normally never happen, and honestly, I don't think it ever has happened. People normally come into the show, like for the first 2 or 3 episodes, then fall off until the finale, then come back for season 2. But that bubble is most likely to pop, although I don't really want it to. But a bigger thing to note here, going back to the game side of things, The Last of Us IP fatigue could set in with fans of the franchise because we are just coming off not only the show, but the remake of the original game and The Last of Us Factions, which is a standalone multiplayer experience based in that universe. Part of what made The Last of Us Part 2 so special, at least to me, was the initial large span of time waiting to even get the nod that the game was in fact on the way. That being said, Part 2 was a good middle point of the large story and could definitely be rounded out to a potential Part 3, where the story concludes being all about Ellie and her journey. But you gotta pay attention to what the showrunners of The Last of Us, being Craig Mason and Neil Druckmann, are saying in interviews. Obviously, this current season is Part 1. Part 2, which is a larger game, was alluded to taking place over at least a few seasons of the show. But they said they don't want to run into a Game of Thrones situation where the show catches up with the games, and anything slated after Part 2's story will just kind of be based off storyboards and just connecting the dots. Neil Druckmann also went as far to state the plot and the story for The Last of Us Part 3 is already done, but the game is not in development yet, while he was on the Script Apart podcast. So, to speculate now, I believe when we get to the end of Season 2 of the show, a nice little end cap for fans of the franchise could be the official announcement that Part 3 is indeed on the way, maybe even a cinematic trailer. This would give showrunners and Naughty Dog enough time to work out the main beats of the story to avoid any sort of wandering towards the finale, and the game could potentially release a few months before the corresponding season airs. Also, while in the realm of Naughty Dog, I figured I'd drop a little more info on what they're working on next, which happens to be a single-player title in which Neil Druckmann is not involved with. The game also seems to take place within a fantasy setting and is currently in full production. So, as per usual, I'm going to pass this question off to you guys. What do you make of all these rumors? Also, do you think The Last of Us really, direly needs a part 3 to really end the story? Also, what are your thoughts on the show? Personally, I love it with those 2 cold opens to episodes 1 and 2. That stuff just gave me the chills, and every time I watch it, I don't know, it gets me creeped out. But that about does it here. I've been Kalo. I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and I'll see you guys next time.